Aliyah Boston has her best game ever. WNBA players are dropping like flies, as we have seen several injuries around the league, including A'ja Wilson being in a boot and Angel Reese having wrist surgery. And also, guys, the playoffs is pretty much set. So we're going to talk about that, have some Ashton Watkins updates, and a whole lot more. Women's Basketball Weekly starts now. What is up, awesome people of the internet? We have a boatload of things to talk about, so let's get into it, starting with the WNBA. Now, we are T-minus 2 weeks until the end of the WNBA season, which ends on the 19th of September. And guys, the playoffs are looking pretty solid as 7 of the 8 teams have clinched a playoff berth. But before we talk all about playoffs, let's actually talk about the bane of every coach's existence. And that is injuries, guys. We have seen injuries galore. I am not sure about y'all, but I have seen so many injuries in the WNBA lately. It is kind of wild, and it's to a lot of players, and it's affecting a lot of different teams. So let's go down the list and talk about who is injured and what happened to them. So first, we start with the New York Liberty. Their starting small forward, Betnijah Laney-Hamilton, went down with a knee injury yesterday against the Las Vegas Aces due to some friendly fire. Now, here's the clip of what happened.
It's away by Stokes. Ends up back to Betnijah. Look out. Oh, grabbing her right knee as her body bent backwards.
It was sort of a bang-bang type of situation. Betnijah Laney-Hamilton had the basketball and was trying to make a move to the basket when she collided with her teammate, Jonquel Jones. Now, this is a huge injury for the New York Liberty because Betnijah has struggled with her right knee all season. In early January, she went down with a knee injury on her right knee, ultimately having a little bit of a surgery over the Olympic break and returning to the squad. Now that she's been back with the squad, she wasn't quite her normal self, though she did have a phenomenal game against the Seattle Storm last Thursday when she had 18 points and 6 rebounds in that game. Now, this could be a huge issue for the New York Liberty going forward if Betnijah has to miss extended time, especially as we get into the playoffs. They should be fine before the playoffs, but absolutely when this playoffs start, they really do need Betnijah Laney-Hamilton on their team. Though it is good news, I do have some good news to share with you all because according to Windsor, the New York Liberty revealed that Betnijah Laney-Hamilton avoided any significant injury in last night's collision. Her return to play timeline is currently being evaluated by the team's physicians and performance staff. So the way that's worded, I think it's likely that at least by playoffs, we should see Betnijah Laney-Hamilton repping the New York Liberty in their jersey. Now, the Liberty, they're a really, really great squad that has made it work without Betnijah in parts of the season, right, when she went down initially. But for this team's future success, especially if they're trying to get a elusive WNBA championship, they really do need Betnijah healthy. They need their entire starting 5 healthy and ready to go. So far this season, Betnijah is averaging 12 points a game, 4.4 rebounds a game, and 3.5 assists. Now, on to the Las Vegas Aces, who are without their MVP, A'ja Wilson. A'ja was injured. She injured her ankle in the last 10 seconds of Friday's game versus the Connecticut Sun. She was ultimately ruled out of yesterday's game and was seen wearing a walking boot on Sunday. Now, guys, here is the thing, guys. A'ja Wilson is the most important player for the Aces. Definitely the most valuable player in the WNBA as a whole and will, for sure, in my opinion, win the MVP, regardless of if she plays another second of this season or not. This is a gigantic loss for the Aces team. Without A'ja Wilson, the Aces narrowly lost on Sunday to the New York Liberty. They did come back in that game. They were down quite bad, but they did come back, so that's a shout out to them. But this is an Aces team that runs on the engine that is A'ja Wilson. And at this point, A'ja is listed as day-to-day, so we will see what the Aces decide to do, and if she does play relatively soon. One thing's for sure is, even similar to Betnijah Laney-Hamilton, the Aces will be in the playoffs. They've already clinched a playoff spot. So it's not absolutely critical that they have her for the remainder of the regular season. But this Aces team, I don't see them making it far at all in the playoffs if they don't have A'ja Wilson, because she is just spectacular for this team. Before injury, A'ja was on track to break the single season scoring record. She only needs 11 more points to do that this season. Only 11 more points, and then she would have broken the single season scoring record. And, not only that, guys, she is doing everything for this team, for both on the offensive end and the defensive end. She's averaging 27.3 points a game, the highest ever scoring average in the WNBA. She's averaging 11.9 rebounds, 2.7 blocks a game, and that just doesn't even show the whole of what she does for this team. Again, she is the end-all be-all for this team, for their offensive schemes and their defensive schemes as well. And so we'll see. The Aces are looking like some outsiders, kind of, when we look at the playoff landscape, because the New York Liberty are looking so red hot, looking really, really good. And the Aces, even with a healthy A'ja Wilson, it's still, in my opinion, at this point, it still would be a bit of a long shot for the Aces to make the finals and win it a third time in a row. But without A'ja, it seems like it's a no-go for the Aces. But we'll ultimately see what happens. She, as I said, she is on a walking boot, and we'll see how long she's out for, and ultimately when A'ja Wilson will make her return. So yeah, I'm just saying it's quite a bit of injuries facing two of the WNBA's biggest teams, the two teams that were in the finals last year in New York and the Las Vegas Aces. On Sunday, we also saw some more injuries happen. We saw an injury happen to Brianna Turner and Diamond DeShields. They both went down for the Chicago Sky yesterday. Brianna Turner had an apparent eye injury, and for Diamond DeShields, it looked like she may have hurt her ankle, and she had to be helped to the locker room. Now, as of this video, the Sky has not given any real updates on injury status for both players, so we will ultimately see what happens, but it does not look good for both players, who, especially Diamond DeShields, who was having a phenomenal game yesterday against the Wings before she went down with injury. If both Diamond and Brianna have to miss Wednesday's game against the Mystics, the Chicago Sky will need to bring in a 7-day contract player, because the team would be down to 8 available players. Now, keep in mind, guys, Elizabeth Williams had surgery for a torn meniscus, which she suffered in June, and she's out for the rest of the season. Angel Reese just went down on this past weekend, and now Diamond DeShields and Brianna Turner possibly going down for this team. It does not look good for the Chicago Sky, but they did get an absolute huge win yesterday against the Dallas Wings, and with Atlanta's loss to the Indiana Fever yesterday, the Sky are now solidly in 8th place. And speaking of Angel, guys, I do have a bit of an update for you all. So on Saturday, it was announced by the Chicago Sky that Angel suffered a wrist injury, saying after undergoing further medical evaluation after the September 6th game against the Los Angeles Sparks, Angel Reese has been ruled out for the rest of the 2024 season with a wrist injury. The team announced today. The team will provide medical updates later as needed. So there was a lot of speculation as to what in the world happened to Angel Reese, and how long ultimately she's going to be out for. Yes, she's out for the remainder of the season, but like, how long would she actually be out for? She did kind of, in Angel Reese fashion, she did let us know exactly what was happening in her own way via a TikTok video. And in that video, she revealed that she will have to undergo surgery. Here is what Angel Reese had to say.
Hey y'all, so let me just answer a few questions because y'all keep asking and I just want y'all to really know and have some clarity of what's going on with me. So y'all know I hurt my wrist. I am out for the season. I fell on my hand when I got the M1. When I fell back, fell on my hand, and it is a small crack in my bone. Yeah. Basically, the doctors told me that I could either not get surgery or have surgery. The risk of not having surgery, I could literally have arthritis at 22 years old. That wasn't an option. The bone could literally crack and literally completely shatter. Right now, it's like a hairline, literally a hairline, like shatter. Not even that big, but they're gonna put like a small little screw in it. And I wasn't going for it getting any bigger. And long term, I literally could have like not played anymore because my bone this is a very hard place to heal because the blood flow is like literally little to none. So that was an option. So I'm getting surgery on Tuesday. I'm literally gonna be in a hard cast for 4 weeks, and then I'm gonna be in a soft cast for 2 weeks that is removable, and then I'm back. So 6 weeks I'll be back to doing my own thing, normal life. I'm not pregnant, like that was never a thing. I just want y'all to make anything clear. I want to make this crystal clear. I don't have a man to have kids. I don't have a ring to have kids. I am 22 with no kids. And I'm not coming home to no kids. So that's not going to be a thing anytime soon. Just want y'all to know that. Because I know y'all like to have some clicks. Y'all need some clicks to find something to gag over, but that's not that. Did I fake an injury? Let's be real. I've literally played with my ankle like a golf ball, like a little golf ball when we played against Iowa. And like pain, you know I'm hurt when like I can't play. Like they gonna have to tell me like you shut down, like you can't play. And that's what they was telling me yesterday, like you shut down, like you can't play. And I was like, all right, what I gotta do is best for my career. Like obviously they gave me the options to play and like deal with the pain as tolerated, but like it's not worth it. Like my career, I want to have a long career in the league. I want to play basketball for a while, so it's not worth it. So yeah. So in the meantime, I will just be in my hard cast for 4 weeks when I get surgery on Tuesday, and then that time I'm just gonna be lifting, running, conditioning, shooting with my offhand, dribbling, doing stuff with my offhand, working on my nutrition, modeling still, podcasting still, being a baddie still, modeling still, I don't think I already said that still, and supporting my teammates and loving them from afar. Well, not afar, but on the bench. Yeah, we got to win today. Still believe. We're still making the playoffs. And just support and just be positive because it's not easy as a 22-year-old going through this. But I give myself grace. I'm so happy for my rookie year. I did amazing. For my expectations for what I wanted. Obviously, I wanted more, but God's timing is not always my timing. So I have to understand that. That's why I'm in such good spirits because I've been through this before and it's literally small to a giant. So I'm completely fine. I'm looking forward to this minor setback to a major comeback. Year 2 is about to be scary hours. Like that's crazy. My last bucket was a 3, and that's just knowing like going into my second year, like even going to an unrivaled league, like it's up. So I'm excited. I love you guys so much, and thanks for supporting me. And wish me luck for surgery on Tuesday. And I'm gonna be a baddie with a cast. So if y'all see me somewhere with a cast, mind y'all business. Oh yeah, new podcast episode dropping Thursday too. And keep shopping Reebok and Reese's Pieces. And Bobbiana coming back, bust downs coming back, long nails, all that stuff. I'm not playing right now. Yeah, bye.
Now, y'all, Angel has had a fantastic season. She was drafted number 7 in this year's WNBA draft and is the only player for the Chicago Sky to have started all 36 games this season. She holds a WNBA record for consecutive double-doubles with 15 of those. She also has the record for rebounds this season with 446 total rebounds. Now, guys, this is a WNBA record in general, not a rookie record. So again, 446 rebounds, the most rebounds ever in WNBA history in a single season, when she passed Sylvia Fowles, who was formerly with the Chicago Sky, who had 404. She also set a rookie double-double record this season, finishing the season with 26 double-doubles. And, that's what she did. That's exactly what she did. And she also finished the season averaging a double-double with 13.6 points a game and 13.1 rebounds a game, the highest rebounding average in WNBA history. It is safe to say that Angel Reese has had a really, really good rookie season. And, it's all up from here in terms of her future success. And guys, she will, as she said in that video, be back for Unrivaled, which starts in January. Another big time injury that's huge for the Chicago Sky's rival in this case, the Atlanta Dream, is that Cheyenne Parker has officially been ruled out for the rest of the season. In August, she suffered a pretty major ankle injury and is not going to be able to return before the season is over. Even though her role this season has dramatically diminished due to Tina Charles joining the team, the Dream not having Cheyenne Parker is a huge loss for their playoff chances. The Dream are also without Aerial Powers, who has been out since August with a calf injury. There are other injuries to note, including Dorka Juhas with the Minnesota Lynx, who is listed as day-to-day with an illness. It's likely that she will be able to play come Tuesday. For the Phoenix Mercury, Beck Allen and Charisma Osborne are still out for the squad, but should both be returning soon. If you all remember, Beck Allen, aka Rebecca Allen, had a hamstring injury in an exhibition game with the Australian national team before the Olympics, and she has been out since then. But 2 weeks ago, Nate Tibbetts said that rehab has gone extremely well and that they are hoping for a return in the next 10 days to 2 weeks. We have now hit that mark. So Beck Allen should be returning any game now. So we will see ultimately what happens. For Charisma Osborne, she's also out with a lower leg injury and has not played in a game since June. She's only played in 2 games this season, and her status is listed just as out. And from what I can tell, there is there's not necessarily a concrete timetable for when Charisma Osborne will return to the squad. For the LA Sparks, Lasia Clarendon is out due to personal reasons and will not play in tomorrow's game, aka Tuesday's game. Ari McDonald is also out for the team. She is listed as day-to-day and is dealing with an ankle injury. And we all know that Lexi Brown is out indefinitely due to her Crohn's disease that has flared up, and that Cameron Brink is still out. She suffered a torn ACL early this season. And yeah, she's still out for the remainder of the season. For the Connecticut Sun, Tiffany Mitchell is out with an illness. And as of last week, Stephanie White, the head coach of the Connecticut Sun, said that she does hope to see Tiffany Mitchell return to the lineup soon. She hopes that she returns for the end of the season, but there is no definitive update on Mitchell's timeline to return. And finally, for the Dallas Wings, Stephanie Suarez is still dealing with the knee injury and might be available to play as soon as tomorrow. So that is your exhaustive list of everybody who is currently injured for the WNBA right now. And I am very much curious, what are your thoughts about some of these players who are injured, about some of these teams? We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're getting down to playoff time, and players being injured is a huge, huge loss for WNBA teams. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, now on to WNBA transactions. Queen Egbo signed a 7-day contract. This is her second contract with the Las Vegas Aces. Odyssey Sims signed a rest of the season contract with the LA Sparks. Celeste Taylor signed a rest of the season contract with the Phoenix Mercury. Amy Atwell signed a 7-day contract with the Phoenix Mercury. This is her first contract with the team this season. Caitlin Bickle signed a rest of the season contract with the Connecticut Sun. And Monique Billings has signed a rest of the season contract with the Phoenix Mercury. Now, on to the standings. We have 7 teams that have clinched a playoff berth. So let's go down the list. All right, so we're about to go down the list for the WNBA standings. So first, we're going to take a look at 1 through 4. So this is the first 4 top 4 teams right now. So again, as I said, 7 teams have clinched a playoff berth. There are 8 total teams in the WNBA, and we are about to ultimately see what happens. People are saying I am frozen. Am I still frozen? Am I still frozen? It looks like I am seeing a little bit of like feedback with my signal. So hopefully you all can still hear me. Let me know if y'all can in the chat. That'd be really, really awesome. But anyway, let's take a look at the first 4 teams in the W right now. Now here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. So while these first 7 teams have clinched, their positioning has not been clinched yet. And so time will tell ultimately where some of these where some of these teams land. But here's the standings as of right now. All right, so right now we do have the New York Liberty in that first place position. They have a record of 29-6. They've had some fantastic games this season, including this past week. This past week, the New York Liberty are still continuing to sort of rock and roll. They beat both the Seattle Storm and the Las Vegas Aces. So in both games, I think they were really statement wins for the New York Liberty. For one of those games, Betnijah Laney-Hamilton, as I said earlier, really did do her thing in that one, and finished with 18 points, sort of leading the squad in terms of scoring. She did go down in that Las Vegas Aces game, but for that Aces game, Brianna Stewart has gotten back to her normal form. It felt like to me in that first half of the season, it was really all about Sabrina Ionescu. Sabrina Ionescu was the MVP for this team. But when we went into the Olympic break, came out of it, it seemed like now it is Brianna Stewart that's really, really leading the squad. For the Seattle Storm, I will say one thing that I thought was kind of concerning in a way was their sort of fourth quarter, like sort of, I don't know. I felt like they really did lose steam in that fourth quarter against the Las Vegas Aces yesterday. And while the Aces were not able to fully make that comeback, just the idea that the Liberty can sort of get a late game scare to possibly where they lose the game. That's something that I think will just sort of keep a fire in their belly to ensure that they are able to sort of keep up the momentum that they have into the remainder of the season. All right. So yeah, they are in first place. I think they'll finish out the season in first place because they're just doing their thing. They're absolutely doing their thing. And I don't see them going on a upcoming losing streak. So the New York Liberty are cruising right now. They do have some upcoming games this week. They play the Dallas Wings tomorrow. They also play Dallas again 2 days later, and then they play the Minnesota Lynx. All right, so going from the New York Liberty on to the Minnesota Lynx. So the Minnesota Lynx are 26-9 on the season so far. This team is absolutely cruising. Ever since the Olympic break, they're not losing. They're not losing any games. Of their last 10 games, they are 9-1. And the reason why is because this Minnesota Lynx team is a very, very deep team. Like when you think about the Lynx, I think a lot of times people just think of, oh, they have Napheesa Collier and that's about it. No, this is way more than just Napheesa Collier. You got Kayla McBride, who can shoot some 3-pointers and also pass the ball as well. You got Courtney Williams, who is a fantastic passer, also a mid-range assassin. You got, Bridget Carlton Dorka Juhas, who's injured right now, but will be back soon. You got Alana Smith. This is a team that has a lot of really, really good players, and they're a team that switches a lot. A lot of their players can play multiple positions, and they sort of rock out from there. This past week, they had some pretty big games. They beat the Indiana Fever, and they also beat the Washington Mystics. The Indiana Fever, I think that game probably had a lot more hype than the Washington Mystics game, but they did beat both of those teams, and they are continuing to cruise in the WNBA standings. They do have some upcoming games this week. They play the Atlanta Dream tomorrow. They play the Chicago Sky, and then the New York Liberty. So those are some of the upcoming games for the Minnesota Lynx. All right, moving on to the third place team, we do have the Connecticut Sun. So the Connecticut Sun are also doing their thing as well. This is a team that is very defensive minded. They did have a rough 3-game skid, right? So they lost on Tuesday. They lost to the Seattle Storm. They beat the Storm on Sunday. Not this past Sunday, the Sunday before that. They beat the Storm, and then they lost to the Storm. And then they lost to the Las Vegas Aces. Now, when we talk about this Connecticut Sun team, they are a really good defensive team. Sometimes they really do struggle to score. They did get a huge piece in Marina Mabrey, and she was supposed to help them sort of get their stuff going when it comes to their 3-point shooting and whatnot. And she's had some pretty good games, but she's also had some clunker games as well. These last 2 games, we've had Brianna Jones as the player who scored the most points in the game yesterday versus the LA Sparks. Brianna Jones had 21 points, and in the game before that against the Las Vegas Aces, she had 17. And for your top scorer to be Brianna Jones is not a good sign for the Connecticut Sun. They are a good squad, absolutely a good squad, but they really do need Marina Mabrey to step up and hit her shots. They really do. Because for this team to go far in the playoffs, they need their shooters to shoot. But a thing that I do want to note, a thing that I think is really, really awesome that I do want to celebrate is the fact that Alyssa Thomas has had another triple-double. Guys, she leads the WNBA in terms of total triple-doubles in the league. She had 12 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds in that game on Sunday versus the LA Sparks. Now, y'all know that, the engine, aka Alyssa Thomas, is a player who is sort of loved and hated in the WNBA. But one thing's for sure is she really is the conductor of this team. She is the player who sort of gets everybody all ready to go. She gets players in position to score. She also is a player that defensively is the best thing one of the best things. Her and Dejanay Carrington are like the best things for this Connecticut Sun team, and for them to advance in the playoffs and make it far. Not only does Alyssa Thomas got to do her thing, not only does Dejanay Carrington and others, but they do really, really need Marina Mabrey to step up and make some stuff happen, because they're not going to go far if they can't hit outside shots. They're not. And so that's a thing. But yeah, I did just want to talk about that. A thing to note, guys, is a BizCat says, doesn't AT only have 3? Are you talking about triple doubles? No, Alyssa Thomas has 11 triple doubles. She has 11 triple doubles in her WNBA career. All right. This is her 11th triple double, which is the most in WNBA history. All right. I assume that was your question. So yeah. If that was your question, it's answered. If not, let me know what your question actually was, and I'll try to answer it. And guys, I know you all are very active in the chat, and I appreciate y'all so much. But I am trying to stick to a timetable for this stream, and so for the most part, I won't be able to go through all of y'all comments live. If there's a super chat, I'll get to it. But other than that, I will just sort of continue on from here. Antoine bringing some clarity. Yeah, it says 11 regular season. Yep. So 11 for the regular season, 15 overall. All right. So that is Alyssa Thomas. All right, she does hold the most triple doubles in WNBA history. All right, so next up we have in fourth place, we have the Las Vegas Aces. Las Vegas Aces are 22-13 on the season. Now, here's the thing, guys. For this Las Vegas Aces team, I kind of talked about them earlier, so I'm not gonna belabor the point, but they will only go as far as A'ja Wilson takes them. A'ja Wilson got injured in that Connecticut Sun game on Friday. She didn't play yesterday versus the Liberty. They lost versus the Liberty. Yes, we are seeing Kelsey Plum get back to her normal self, right? We are seeing Chelsea Gray get back to her normal self, but it is still not enough. This team really does need. This team really does need A'ja Wilson. They've already clinched the playoffs, but for them to make it far, they need A'ja Wilson. So that's about all I'm going to say about this team, because I kind of already talked about them earlier. All right, so continuing on, let's talk about 5 through 8. So we have the Seattle Storm at number 5. Now, the Seattle Storm is a good team that's still trying to figure out how to be great. This is a team that can be awesome, but they're struggling, right? They're struggling a little bit. This past week, they were 2-1 on the week. They beat the Connecticut Sun. They also beat the Phoenix Mercury, but they lost to the New York Liberty. Now, Skylar Diggins-Smith, I think she is, she's had some pretty good games this season, especially last week. But this team needs more. This is a team that heavily relied on Jewell Loyd last year, and Jewell Loyd was really the end-all be-all for the Seattle Storm last year. But I still feel like this year Jewell Loyd has not been consistently the scoring powerhouse that she was in years past, mainly because she does have more help. And I think that is actually it's hurting her aggressiveness. I would say it's hurting her aggressiveness, which in turn is sort of leaving more to be desired from this Seattle Storm team. Though last week, as I said, they lost against the New York Liberty. They also lost against the Connecticut Sun and the New York Liberty the previous week. This is a team that can be great, but I think there's just some more stuff that they need to do. There's some more stuff that they need to do to just sort of get over the hump and live up to how great they are on paper in real life. All right, number 6. For number 6, we do have the Indiana Fever, who is just climbing up the standings. They are climbing up the standings. Guys, my face is frozen, so I'm just going to pop my face off of here. And we're just going to make this audio only. All right, so the Indiana Fever... So the Indiana Fever is a team that is absolutely rolling. They are 8-2 of their last 10 games. They are absolutely doing their thing. Now, guys, the thing to note, the thing that I am extremely impressed with is their ability to just sort of grit out wins. We've seen some very close games after the Olympic break for the Indiana Fever, right? They had a really close game against the Connecticut Sun that they only won by 4 points. They had a close game against Dallas, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that. They had a very close game yesterday against the Atlanta Dream, a game where Aliyah Boston put this team on her back and she made it happen, captain. Now, there was a graphic that I was going to post up, but since I'm having a lot of issues with my camera and stuff like that, I'm not going to pop it up. But Aliyah Boston had a career high 30 points in yesterday's game versus the Atlanta Dream. She said after the game, a quote that she said that I wanted to call out specifically. She said, "I just tell myself to dominate. That's really my mindset, no matter who I'm playing." And she had a fantastic game against one of the best bigs to ever do it in the WNBA, which is Tina Charles. Aliyah Boston is fantastic. She initially started off the season slow. She did. She had a really, really great rookie season. I felt like to start the season, she was a little bit slow, but she has gotten into full form and she's doing her thing. She had a double-double in yesterday's game, 30 points, 13 rebounds for Aliyah Boston. She was absolutely doing her thing. And guys, the thing that I love about this Indiana Fever team is not just one player. They got a three-headed monster, basically. They got a three-headed monster over in Indiana. You have Aliyah Boston again, 30 points in that game. Kelsey Mitchell had 21 points in that game. Caitlin Clark had 26. Guys, I'm just saying it's kind of spectacular to watch this team and just see how players can absolutely dominate. Absolutely dominate. Now, in that game alone, for those three players, they had 77 points. Three players, Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, 77 of the Indiana Fever's 104. And guys, it's huge. But guys, it is not just those three. It is not just those three. Lexie Hull, the Athletes Unlimited star, the Stanford star, is continuing to do her thing for this Indiana Fever team. Lexie Hull she played 40 minutes. The game did go into overtime for the Atlanta Dream game did go into overtime, but Lexie Hull played 40 minutes in that game, had 4 clutch three-pointers for this team. Very, very efficient from the three-point line for Lexie Hull. She ended up finishing the game with 12 points, but those were 12 huge points for this team. And also, I got to give a huge shout-out to Timmy Fagbenle, who also scored as well. She had 9 points in this game. Nalissa Smith finished that game with 6 points. I'm just saying, guys, 77 points between three players for this Indiana Fever team. If they keep this up, sky's the limit for this team, They are a long shot by a long measure. They are a huge long shot to finish out to actually make the finals. I don't actually think that's going to happen, but they're in the playoffs, so you never know. But those three players are absolutely fantastic. But guys, a thing that the Indiana Fever really need to work on, a thing that a lot of people don't like to talk about because it's all compliments only for Caitlin Clark, but guys, Caitlin Clark almost finished with a triple-double yesterday. She almost finished with a triple-double, but it was not a good triple-double at all. She finished with 26 points, 12 assists, and a whopping 9 turnovers, guys. Now, I feel like in general, a lot of people don't want to talk about her turnovers. I've talked about it a couple times on this channel, but guys, this is really something that has to get worked out. It has to get worked out. And for me, I see it as a combination of her making passes that would absolutely work in college, but the WNBA is a little bit too fast for that. I see it as some situations where her teammates aren't ready for it. I also see it as a situation where she just is thinking a little bit too fast, throws a pass, and is like, oh man, I shouldn't have did that. I should have passed it differently and whatnot. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying, guys. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of people who are mad at me in the comments about me talking about Caitlin's turnovers, but it's an issue. It definitely still needs to get worked out. Yes, this team is still winning. Yes, they're still winning. Yes, they're still rolling. However, Turnovers, guys, is a huge issue. All right. And just sort of think about it this way. Think about it this way. In that Fever versus Dream game, the Atlanta Dream finished that game with only 8 turnovers. They finished with only 8 turnovers in the entire game. But the Indiana Fever had a whopping 17 turnovers. It's an issue, guys. It is. And yes, they did get the win. However, it's a little concerning. So they got to get that together. But ultimately, they still do win. Yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing that, if you say anything, you are automatically a hater. But guys, I am not a hater of Caitlin Clark. I think she's fantastic. However, she does need to get that worked out. All right. Allison says, Quita, is your mic cutting out or is that me? I don't think my mic is cutting out. I think my mic is just fine. However, guys, let me know in the chat. Is my mic cutting out? Let me know. Let me know if my mic is cutting out. All right. Thank you very, very much. All right, continuing on, we have the Phoenix Mercury. The Phoenix Mercury is a team that is on a downward spiral of sorts. They are 3 of 7 on the season. They are 3 of 7 on the season. Or not 3 of 7 on the season. They are of their last 10 games, they are 3 of 7. They have a record of 17 wins and 19 losses on the season so far. Looks like I am having some buffering issues. I do apologize for that. Hopefully that will clear up very, very soon. All right. So for this Phoenix Mercury team, they're on a downward spiral because this is a team that is very veteran led. And the veterans are kind of showing their age a little bit. They got absolutely destroyed by the Seattle Storm on Saturday. They lost 90-66. They got destroyed by the Washington Mystics, 90-77. This is a team that needs Kahleah Copper, to absolutely dominate every single time. And for the last 2 games at least, she did not have more than 25 points. And if Kahleah Copper isn't totally dominating, this Phoenix Mercury team does not really have a chance. Yeah, sure, you have Brittany Griner. Yeah, sure, you have Diana Taurasi, but they are nowhere near as good as they used to be. They're not. They're nowhere near as good as they used to be. They're getting older as players. And this team, yes, they're making the playoffs. But I don't see how they do more than get out in the first round. Like, I don't see it. Yes, Beck Allen should be back soon, and so that is going to be a huge help for this team. But that's assuming that she comes back and she's all good to go. But yeah, it's an issue. It's an issue for this Phoenix Mercury team. They are older. They are not playing as well as they used to be. And if Kahleah Copper is not scoring 25 plus points, they don't really have a chance. So that is the Phoenix Mercury. Next up, we have the Chicago Sky. The Chicago Sky are 3 of their last. They've won 3 of their last 10 games. They have a record of 13-22 on the season so far. They have not clinched the playoff. They have not clinched a playoff spot just yet. Though it does seem likely that they're going to get that last playoff spot. Now, the thing about the Chicago Sky is they've had some very, very close games that they've lost. The reason why is because they didn't have Kennedy Carter. Now Kennedy Carter is back, and they've won their last 2 games, which is huge for this team that was on a large skid. Angel Reese is out for the remainder of the season. Isabel Harrison took her starting spot in the last game, and Izzy played fantastic. If we can continue to see Isabel Harrison play like the Athletes Unlimited version of Isabel Harrison, the Chicago Sky will end up with a playoff berth. All right. This week they do play the Washington Mystics. They play the Minnesota Lynx, and they play the Phoenix Mercury. I do believe they will beat the Washington Mystics and the Phoenix Mercury. So I do think that that 8th spot is now theirs. Now, guys, I did do an about face because I thought that the Atlanta Dream was going to beat the Indiana Fever yesterday, and I thought that the Dallas Wings was going to beat the Chicago Sky yesterday. And so I thought that we were going to have the Atlanta Dream in a playoff spot, but that is not the case. The Chicago Sky are doing what is necessary to get a playoff berth. All right, on to 9 through 12. On to 9 through 12, we have the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream are 12-23 on the season so far. Now, this team is a team that I thought was trying to sort of get that last spot, but I don't think it's possible anymore. They've won 4 of their last 10 games, and to me, that game that they had yesterday against the Indiana Fever was absolutely critical. It was absolutely critical for this team, and them losing that game, I think, kind of does seal their fate for the rest of the season, because the Atlanta Dream, they do play the Minnesota Lynx. They play the Washington Mystics twice. They play Chicago again, and they play the New York Liberty, which to me is a tough schedule. And so I'm not sure if they actually end up making a playoff spot. Now, guys, the thing about this Atlanta Dream team is if they were fully healthy at the beginning of the season, I think they would have definitely made the playoffs. This is a team that did not have Ryan Howard for the first half of the season. And she has absolutely been rolling. And so that's a thing. I do want to give a quick shout out to James. Thank you so much, James, for the super chat. Says, hi, Quita. Hi, James. Hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Thank you. All right. So for the Atlanta Dream, Ryan Howard is absolutely doing her thing. She is putting up a boatload of numbers, including dropping 36 yesterday against the Fever. But it is a little bit too little too late. Because she was hurt for the first half of the season, it's just not enough. But guys, the last 3 games, Ryan Howard has scored more than 30 points. She's a walking bucket. Healthy. She's a walking bucket. But she's only played 25 games this season due to injury, and that really has hurt the Dream's chances of really making it to the playoffs. But also, guys, shout out to Tina Charles. Tina Charles is a player who is still putting up some really, really good numbers as a senior type player, a veteran type player. All right, so continuing on, again, the Atlanta Dream technically still can make the playoffs, but I don't think they will make the playoffs. Next up, we do have the Washington Mystics. They are number 10. In the 10th spot right now. Also, guys, if y'all could please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. We have about 500 people in the chat, but we only have 150 likes. If y'all get that like button, that really does help the channel out a whole lot. Thank you very, very much. All right. Guy says Howard doesn't get any media coverage, so thanks, Quito, for recognizing her feat. Yeah, I need to make some videos about Ryan Howard because I've been watching the Dream play and I've been watching Ryan Howard, and she's just a bucket. She just is. Double R says, I definitely think the Dream can make it. Okay. Well, I mean, they're still in it. They're still in it. So technically it is not over. But I mean, it kind of looks like it's over. Technically, it's not over though. So they still have a chance, technically. All right, let's continue on. Let's continue on and talk about the Washington Mystics. So the Washington Mystics are 11-24 on the season so far. Now, they have had 2 really, really big wins. They beat the Dallas Wings. They beat the Phoenix Mercury last week. They did lose to the Minnesota Lynx, so that is a thing. But this is a team that is trying to make the playoffs. And it is still technically possible. It is still technically possible for the Washington Mystics to make the playoffs. Now, the thing about the Mystics is that they're a little bit of a confusing team, because at one point I thought that they were trying to tank. But then they pull off some pretty big wins, and I'm like, maybe just maybe they actually could make the playoffs. Now, this is a team that has dealt with injuries quite a bit. Injuries have absolutely sucked for this team. They've had Shakira Austin be out with injury. They've had Brittney Sykes out with injury at points throughout the game, but throughout the season. But officially, Shakira Austin is back, guys. She is back, and she did play against the Lynx. What was that game? Yesterday. And so that is huge. Brittney Sykes is back, and Brittney Sykes is putting up some numbers, y'all. She is absolutely putting up some numbers. Yesterday, she only had 13 points. But guys, several games ago, she had 20, and then she had 28. Brittney Sykes is a player that is a defensive juggernaut, and also is a player that does have an offensive bag. So I'm just saying. With a healthy Brittney Sykes and a healthy Shakira Austin, if they would have been healthy this entire season, yeah, they would have had a real good chance of making the playoffs. I mean, and they still do have a chance of making the playoffs. Is it a slim chance? Yes, it is a slim chance, but it is still a chance nonetheless. I've been enjoying watching the Washington Mystics play because I think they're a fun team that can surprise you. I think they're a fun team that can surprise you because, guys, they've had some pretty good wins this year, right? This is a team that can beat some teams every now and then, right? They beat the Dallas Wings a couple of times. They beat the Indiana Fever, right? They beat the Chicago Sky. This is a team that can get some wins on the board, again, if they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they can make some noise. Also, they brought in Emily Ensler, who I think is putting us some really good numbers. She didn't have a good game. She did not have a good game in yesterday's game against the Minnesota Lynx. But overall, I do think that she is very helpful for this team. And of course, you do have Ariel Atkins, who can put up some good numbers as well. So yeah, the Mystics can shock you. They can shock you. And they can make some stuff happen. I absolutely agree with you. I don't know how to pronounce your username, but I absolutely agree. Yeah, the Mystics can shock players. They can shock you. They can. All right. So the Atlanta Dream and the Washington Mystics are the two teams that still have a chance of making the playoffs. They still have a chance. Is it slim? Yes, but it is still a chance. The Washington Mystics, they do have some upcoming games against the Chicago Sky. They play the Atlanta Dream twice. They play the New York Liberty, and they play the Indiana Fever, which is tough sledding, but technically they still can make the playoffs. All right. So yeah, that's the thing. All right. Going on to the bottom two teams, I should say. The two teams that are not making the playoffs, the two teams that actually got eliminated from the playoffs this past week due to the Chicago Sky beating them. And that is the Dallas Wings and the LA Sparks. So the Dallas Wings have had a very, very disappointing season. They are 9 of 26 on the season. This is a team that after the Olympic break, I thought they were going to make a really good push for the what am I saying? Can I talk? I thought they were going to have a really good push for the playoffs, but unfortunately, they have lost their last 4 games, which is crazy because I actually think that their last 3 games, they could have won all those. All right. They lost against the Indiana Fever. Then they lost against the Mystics. Then they lost against the Dream. Then they just lost against the Chicago Sky. Now, this is a team they brought, they have their unicorn, Satu Sabli, who's back and she's healthy. But she hasn't had really efficient games lately. Of the last 4 games, she has not been very efficient. This is a team that, they have the trees and Tierra McCowan and Kalani Brown, but it just really does seem like it is not working, guys. It is, I really do think that that Greg Bibb and company and Latricia Trammell and company, they have to decide to do something different. It's not working. It is not the Dallas Wings is not working, and I think the issue is the post players. I do. Like now, I do think that Kalani's a good player. I do think that Tierra McCowan's a good player. However, it's not working out for this team. For you to have two huge players in terms of height, and in terms of solidness in both of those players, and for you to still not be good in the paint is concerning. It is. It is. We're just not seeing the success. And when we saw these two players, team up in the post last year, and last year the Dallas Wings had success. This year, it's not working. So I really do think that this Dallas Wings team, if they do not decide to move away from just having trees in the post, they will not be successful next year either. Because they have Kalani Brown, they have Tierra McCowan, they have another really tall one, Suarez, as well. They have a lot of tall players, but at the same time, if those players are not able to make anything happen, you have to make a change. You absolutely have to make a change. We will see their best player up for a new contract, not this upcoming offseason, but the following offseason in Arike Ogunbowale. Satu Sabali can go wherever she wants. And so I really do think that this team, they have to blow it up. I absolutely say keep Latricia Trammell for another year. I think she has a lot of promise as a head coach. But you have to break up the trees. It's not working. You got to break them up. And you have to figure out a way to bring in more mobile post players and make some stuff happen. Because it's just not working. It's not working. But yeah, they do have another opportunity to get a lottery pick. And so who knows, maybe they'll get the number 1 pick and be able to draft Paige Beckers. But even still, they still have a lot of work that they need to do. A lot of work they need to do. All right. On to the LA Sparks. Now the LA Sparks is a team that, it's been a disappointment. But they have had some bright spots, I would say. So they've only won one of their last 10 games, which is crazy. They're 7 of 28 on the season so far. But here's the thing, guys. While the LA Sparks have been on a tear when it comes to losing, they have had some spurts of awesomeness, right? One, this is a team that, yes, a lot of people are like, oh, if a team beats the LA Sparks, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter because the LA Sparks suck. The LA Sparks have had really good games this season, right? This is the team that beat the New York Liberty, all right? This is the team that beat the Las Vegas Aces. This is a team, and actually they beat the Aces twice, I should say. They beat the Aces twice. They beat the Indiana Fever, right? And they've won some other games as well. This is a team that has won games that they should not have won. But also, this is a team that has stunk it up when they actually had a chance of winning the game. Now, some bright spots for the LA Sparks is the fact that Rickea Jackson is still showing that she is a fantastic rookie. Truly, if she would have started early in the season, I think she would have definitely been a true contender for Rookie of the Year. I do think that Dearica Hamby, she had a really good first half of the season, but ever since the Olympic break, like she's not been the same. Dearica Hamby was a player that was like trying to get an MVP vote, and honestly, for the first half of the season, she would have got a vote. by how she played in that first half of the season. But ever since then, ever since the Olympic break, ever since she got back from the 3x3 for the Olympics, she hasn't been the same. Yeah, she's had some pretty decent games every now and then, but like consistently, she has not been the same player that she was at the beginning of the season. Though, yes, she did have a great game against the New York Liberty, but that was really the only game, or that one and the game against Chicago were the only two games that she really cooked since coming back from the Olympic break. She definitely has not been as huge as she was before. She's still a great player, absolutely. In my opinion, still the best player on this Sparks team. However, she hasn't been the same player. But Rickea Jackson has stepped up and she has been doing her thing. She's been playing great. But for the LA Sparks, I think it's a coaching thing. This is the second year for Kurt on this team as the head coach, and so I want to give him another year to see what he does. But the Sparks should be a better team. Just how they've gotten blown out in some of these games is they gotta be better. They gotta be better. But guys, anyway, that is your sort of like look at the 12 teams in the WNBA and what they are doing. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, guys, make sure to hit that like button and also make sure to subscribe to the channel. All right, now on to college. Remember 2 weeks ago when I told you all that Yukon and the Big 10 or Big 12 were interested in having conversations about Yukon joining the Big 12? Well, those conversations have been had and have been paused by the Big 12 with Conference Commissioner Brett Yormark saying in a statement this past Thursday, "As commissioner, it is my responsibility to explore a variety of value-creating opportunities on behalf of the Big 12. Following detailed discussions with my conference colleagues alongside Yukon leadership, we have jointly decided to pause our conversations at this time. We will instead focus our attention and resources to ushering in a new era of college athletes." So, yeah. There is no Big 12 in the future for Yukon, but maybe Yukon will be joining another conference in the near future. Well, who knows? Right now, Yukon is in the Big East, and they really are the biggest thing going in the Big East for, and you know, there's a lot of money to be had in all the other power and all the other sort of conferences like the Big 12, Big 10, ACC, SEC, and so we'll see if Yukon stays in the Big East or they decide to look elsewhere to other conferences. And last week, guys, remember that I told you all about the charges that Ashton Watkins is facing. And since then, I have seen people saying that Ashlyn's automatic suspension from South Carolina has been lifted. Guys, that is incorrect. Ashlyn Watkins is still suspended from the program. At South Carolina, they do have a policy that suspends athletes after they have been arrested. And as of last Thursday, South Carolina confirmed that Ashlyn Watkins is still suspended from the team. Now, we do have more details on what allegedly happened, courtesy of On3, so let's take a look at that now. All right, so here is what On3 wrote in an article. We do have a little bit more details from last week, so I just want to go through that real quick. A thing to note is that the victim was leaning over the ledge of the third floor of the parking garage, and Ashlyn was restraining the victim, and Ashlyn told police that the victim was trying to jump. Police separated them, and the victim is a minor, so I saw a lot of people who were speculating around, is she a minor or not? The victim is a minor, and the victim told police that she had gotten into an argument with Ashlyn and was attempting to get away from her. and stated several times that Ashlyn hit her. And supposedly, the victim is Ashlyn's best friend, or that's how the victim identified herself. And Ashlyn said the victim was her girlfriend. And the victim said that she was visiting another sick friend on the second floor, and Ashlyn came to the room because she believed the victim was cheating on her. It's a whole thing. But ultimately, guys, this issue has not gotten wrapped up yet. It is still ongoing. It is still ongoing. So that is absolutely a thing. And so, yeah, I did just want to like show y'all proof. And also this article does say the thing I just said earlier. There was a little bit of miscommunication around, is she suspended or is she not suspended? Because according to this On3 article, which I do believe, I think they do some great reporting. It said that a local TV station said that the suspension was lifted. Not the case, guys. From what I can understand, Ashlyn is not suspended from the school. She's suspended from the athletics program. All right. So again, it says university policy states that athletes are suspended following an arrest, and because she was arrested, she is suspended. There was a news report that said that the suspension was lifted. Ashlyn's dad also put on there put on social media that the suspension was lifted. That is not true. The suspension is still ongoing. As of a couple days ago, as of this past Thursday, South Carolina confirmed that Ashton Watkins was still suspended from the athletics program. All right. So yeah, that's a thing. I just wanted to clear that up. But yeah, I highly recommend y'all check out this On3 article. It kind of goes through all the details of what we know right now. But Ashlyn is, she's not in jail or anything. She was able to get bonded out, and so yeah, she has to have no contact with the victim, and some other stipulations. But she does have her first hearing scheduled for October the 25th. But the season for the South Carolina Gamecocks women's basketball team, their season starts on November the 4th. And so, yeah, we'll see ultimately what happens from here. But it's likely that Ashlyn will be suspended at least until the day of her hearing, and we'll see how that goes. If those charges get dropped, then it's likely that she'll be back on the team. But we will absolutely see what happens from here. But again, the season does start on November the 4th. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this does have direct consequences to how this team will do the season. If Ashlyn actually misses time, who knows? But guys, she is still suspended. I just wanted to clear that up. I've seen a lot of people saying that she's not suspended. She is still suspended per South Carolina. She's still suspended from the athletics program. But from what I can understand, she's not suspended from the school itself, but from the athletics program, she is suspended. All right, so hopefully that does clear it up. And don't want to belabor the point, but actually check out this On3 article. It does go through just about everything. All right, guys, to wrap up today's show, Athletes Unlimited is back for their 4th season, and it is going to take place in Nashville, Tennessee, from February the 5th through March the 2nd. Now, if you all do not know, Athletes Unlimited is a great off-season league for WNBA players to stay in game shape, but also for former college athletes to try and former college athletes and also former WNBA players to try to either get on a team for the first time or try to earn their way back to a WNBA roster and sort of work on their skills to get signed for a training camp roster. Now, AU is not your average basketball league. It's not. Yes, it is 5-on-5, which is pretty standard. But it features a different wrinkle. Instead of there being consistent teams that play other teams, it is a rotating type of team deal where it's not necessarily about what the individual teams do. It's about what the individual players do. So each game, players earn points for team wins and also individual performances based off of assists, points, rebounds. Like, it's a lot of different metrics, and players get points for those things. And ultimately, team captains are picked every single week based off of the previous week's performance, and they select their teams, and it sort of changes every time, right? So the top 4 players in the standings for the points structure, they're the captains. They draft their rosters every single week, and the draft is actually broadcasted live, so that's kind of cool to be able to see that. So yeah, that's Athletes Unlimited. And instead of at the end a team winning the championship, it is an individual player that wins the season. So that's something to note about Athletes Unlimited. All of the games for Athletes Unlimited this season will take place in Nashville, Tennessee at the Municipal Auditorium, which has a capacity of 9,700 fans. And so I, for one, am very, very much happy that this is going to be in Nashville because I am hoping that I will be able to attend some games. What about you all? Are you going to go to an Athletes Unlimited game this season? Let me know your thoughts. Also, guys, if y'all could just sort of keep this in mind, guys. We are about to enter the golden era of women's basketball. Because just a reminder, guys, that Unrivaled, which is the new 3-on-3 team that is co-founded by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, that league starts in January. All right, so the WNBA season is going to be over in the next month or so, and there will be a little bit of a break. We will start women's college basketball in November. January comes, we have Unrivaled starting. Then go into February, we have Athletes Unlimited starting. And then, of course, in April and May, we have the WNBA season kicking off again. And mind you, during that time, we will have European basketball happening and Australian WNBL action happening as well. So, yeah, we're about to enter the golden era of women's basketball. So y'all better be ready. Y'all better get your subscriptions all set to go because there's going to be a lot of basketball to watch all the time. So I hope y'all ready. Strap in your seatbelt and let's get ready for some women's basketball 24/7, basically. Anyway, guys, that is the stream, guys. We can expect, just FYI, we can expect the AU rosters to be finalized closer to the start of the season. Do you all plan on going to any of the games for Athletes Unlimited, for Unrivaled, for women's college basketball that is about to be starting very, very soon? Let me know your thoughts and let me know what you all plan to do in the comments below. Guys, that has been today's episode of Women's Basketball Weekly. Thank you all so much for joining. Hope you all had a good time with the show. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about any of the topics I covered today. Also, if y'all could please do me a huge favor, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. I make content all about women's basketball, so if that is your thing, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, you all have a fantastic day, and I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.